Okay, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, good afternoon and welcome back to the Just Joe football show. And because we played on a Friday, I was stuck for something to do on a Sunday, and I said, you know what? The top two dropped points. Benjamin Bloom's an Ipswich fan. Let me reach out to him and find out what his thoughts are on that. And yeah, listen, if you want to talk EFL, then Benjamin Bloom's your man. So I thought I would reach out. We spoke a couple of weeks back saying we wanted to do some more things together as well. So yeah, I reached out and he was free. So that's great. And I hope you all enjoyed this video, which no doubt you will. But let's just say hello first and foremost. Ben, how are you doing? All right?
I mean, I've not had a lot of sleep. It's a home run slagging off Manchester on your channel. I was working in Manchester last night. I live in Bedfordshire and I finished work at midnight. So you do the maths on how much. I mean, you're looking very handsome, Joe. I'm not looking very radiant, am I? But look at Joe. Listen to me.
to be fair, mate, I mean, I mean, my son had me up first thing this morning, and then so I am pretty tired. But the kids have gone home, so after this, I think I'll probably have a nap, mate. To be honest, and maybe you might be able to get one in yourself. I don't know. Right, mate. Well, we'll get straight stuck into.
Someone's put stripper in the chat there. That's tremendous. I was not stripping in Manchester.
No. Definitely not. Magic Mike vibes, isn't it? Magic Mike vibes, to be fair. They do all tend to have long hair like you, though, Ben, to be fair.
Just a little less timber on here, yeah, right?
I love that. It was brilliant. It's just made me think now. I started watching that Jack Whitehall and his dad program, and it's brilliant. And he texts his dad to Las Vegas, and he thinks he's actually going to see a magician, Magic Mike. And when he sits him down and they all come out, he's like, brutal. What's going on? It's quite funny, actually. But yeah, if you haven't watched that, folks, watch it, because it's nice, easy viewing, and it's quite funny. Right, okay, let's get stuck into some championship football, though. Look, everyone who watches my channel knows this time Tuesday, I think it was, I was saying, do you know what? It's all doom and gloom. If Leeds United don't beat Leicester, Ipswich are guaranteed to beat Wayne Rooney's Birmingham. And obviously, Leeds United won Friday night, so they won that game, and obviously Ipswich did drop points. Okay, they didn't drop maximum, and they came back as they tend to do, and have done for quite some time now, and picked up a point. So, but me and Ben were just talking off air. It has really given it a sort of different perspective. You've got Southampton now on 27, West Brom on 26 as well. It's very, very tight up there. But Ben, I've just watched your review of Leeds Leicester. Let's start there first and foremost. What did you make to the game, and were you impressed with the way Leeds United went about the business? I think the main thing for me was how Daniel Farke made changes second half. And doubled up on their wingers, and it sort of like negated the threat that Fatawu had in that. Because I was petrified, thinking Byram's on a yellow, we're going to see Junior Firpo, oh no, and it just didn't happen that way. And I thought the second half Leeds were by far the better side. I know Leicester had a lot of possession, but yeah, we won the game, and it's huge considering the run they're on.
Massive result, and I'm looking through the two teams, and I'm looking for weaknesses. And at championship level, you look at the Leicester 11 and the Leeds 11, and there just isn't many. And really, you've just nailed it. The only weakness I was looking was Leeds fullbacks. You know, Spence's not around, and you know Byram wouldn't have been the plan kind of going into the season. No. But really impressive. It's one of those, wasn't it, where you almost didn't know, are we going to get like a 3-0 Leicester win? Are we going to get a 3-0 Leeds win? Somebody's going to make a statement, and it was Leeds that made the statement, wasn't it? And controlled it really nicely, actually. And I think really smart from from Farke, wasn't it? To just, maybe just sit off a little bit. Let Leicester have the ball higher up. But we know Farke's teams with that vertical passing and that lightning fast attacking. And I've seen Leeds twice in the flesh this season, and I've seen them bang 4 goals past Ipswich doing that and 3 past Millwall, and that was going to be the plan. They didn't get the goal from that, though. A clean sheet and a set play. You must be chuffed with that, Joe, mustn't you? Winning a game winning a tight, big game with a clean sheet and a set play. You've got to do that, haven't you?
Yeah, it was amazing, and do you know what? Illy and Meslier had taken a lot of flack, even from some of the Leeds fans. I think a lot of it's born out of frustrations from last season, and it's hard to
PTSD, isn't it?
Yeah, it sticks, doesn't it? But I thought the save at the end was absolutely huge. I think Dewsbury Hall had a pretty non-existent game, if I'm being honest.
He's been superb as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it shows how well Leeds United defended. I thought Melier saved, but also the centre-back partnership. I mean, Rodon, I thought Rodon was phenomenal. Like, there was a block he made with his nose at one point, and I was like, wow. And he just sort of went like that and then carried on, He wasn't on the deck or anything like that. I just think them two as a pair. We've got Jed Spence to come back as well. That's huge. And I think they will go out and get another left back in January. And you lot
have been saying that for about 5 years. You're going to sign a left
exactly, back. Yeah. The best one we had's at your place, Leif Davis.
Wow.
We just let him go.
I'll give you that one. Yeah. He's brilliant. Yeah.
It's mad. But yeah, massive win. Massive 3 points and really just put pressure on. Do you think for me...
It's not the 3 points that are massive. It's the statement. It's going there and winning, isn't it? Because like you said, still a huge lead, isn't it?
Yeah. I was just going to say that to you as well. I said to folks, even if Leicester lose this game, for me, they still go and win the league, because I just expect them in the next fixture, which is, I'm just having a look, I think it's Middlesbrough. I think they beat Middlesbrough. So they'll just go back on that winning run again. I don't see it being that much of a dent for them. I don't know how you feel, because I know you said you probably expect them to still go and get that 100-point, season, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because if you do it purely on the maths, it's going to be so hard and I mean, I know you can say similar things about Ipswich's points total, but, and I'm sure this is going to come up in the conversation as we talk about the race.
Yeah.
Ipswich have got no right to be, and I'm saying this as an Ipswich fan, to be toe-to-toe with the Year 1 parachute teams if they're on it. Do you know what I mean? We know how the Championship works, and normally one of the relegated teams cocks it up. But looking at that table right now, doesn't look like it's going to be the case this season, does it? So you can make a really good argument for, and I mean, I'm sure you guys have done the maths. If Leicester are kind of average, probably going to get more than 80 points. Yeah, if they're in any way good, they're going to get 90. And if they're as good as they have been, probably easy still get 100 points, can't they? Which, good luck catching that. But yes, certainly getting interesting. I'd be interested from your take, Joe, how much you're looking at Ipswich, how much you're actually looking at Southampton as well.
So I wasn't prior to this weekend. My whole focus was just on that top two, because I like you, I just didn't know how Friday was going to go. I genuinely felt we could have won 3-1, they could have won 3-1, that kind of vibe like you mentioned. So I just didn't have a clue. Whereas all the other games, I go into expecting Leeds United to win. I hope that doesn't sound arrogant. I just think the quality that we've got, we should be putting 3 points on the board. Leicester, however, is the one team I look at and think, right, okay, in every area, there's a case to argue each position. So I didn't know how that was going to go, and I was convinced you were going to win. So then but now that you didn't win and we're catching, I do look at Southampton and think, oh, yeah, actually, then they're only a point behind. So we've got to be wary of that as well, because there was a case, Ben, where I was saying the top two are going to run away. Then, because I made the claim that it could end up being boring for Leeds, because we might just be stuck in third all season. No chance of catching the top two.
And that's not good for a playoff. That's not good for a playoff run either, is it?
Yeah. So, but yeah, Southampton, I think Russell Martin's turned them round, hasn't he, in effect? Because
did you see Ross Stewart play for their under-21s back end of the week as well? Yeah, so they're now going to have a proper striker added to the mix as well. I mean, I look at the squads and I do still think Leeds have got the edge on Southampton quality-wise. I just think the exits from, I know all the top teams sold players, but I don't know. I just look through at the balance of Leeds and Leicester, and I'm not just saying that because of the way the table looks, but Southampton's an interesting one, in respects of it's absurd to think that, and I'd love them to do it. The Ipswich are going to continue on way above 2 points per game. So you would think that gap will close. I'm just looking at it now and thinking of, are you going to get two teams running at Ipswich, and maybe there's a gap then up to Leicester. Could be like that, couldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, talk to me about Ipswich then, Ben. I don't know if everybody knows, because until we started speaking, I had no clue you were an Ipswich fan. I think the first time we spoke, you were in League One, though, at the time. What happened the other day against Birmingham? You can't win every game, but obviously Rooney had lost 3 on the Spain. They were booing him. We don't want you at the football club. And I was convinced. I genuinely didn't even check the score until someone messaged me to say, Birmingham are winning. And I was like, right, I'll put that on my favourites because I was just convinced you would win. What happened at the weekend against Birmingham?
We weren't at it in the way we have been. I think Birmingham, it was kind of, you get those games where you're like, you almost don't want to play this team at this point where, the managers had a bad start. They haven't played on a Saturday at 3 p.m. forever. And the energy of the stadium is going to go one or two ways, where if that home team gets a good start, it's really going to push them on. And as we've just seen with the Norwich game, if it goes the other way, it'll turn. But no, I think Birmingham were decent. And I think what Rooney's kind of admitted is that they played a bit emotionally and then they ran out of steam at the end. But look, come on, Joe, when you're 2 down at 78 minutes or whatever it is, it's you take a point and you're very, very, very. I said going into the weekend, Joe, I had a hunch because we got these 2 games. We got this Rotherham game. I said, if you give me 3 points at Rotherham, I'll happily take the point at Birmingham, and then it's a home game against Swansea. And I must just bookend all of this by saying this is mental if you're an Ipswich fan, that you're talking about this. Oh no, we need to get 7 points from this next 3 games. This is, given how bad we've been for 20 years, to have kept this run going through from the end of the League One season. But yeah, I think you're probably right in what you said. You can't win every game. I know it's been like that, and I'm very happy given. You look at your phone, if you're not at the game, you're like, well, that's that done, isn't it? see you on Tuesday, we go again, yeah?
I love that. I do love that. I mean, I was having this debate, though, Ben, with a lot of Leeds fans who kept telling me they're going to fall off. They're going to fall off. And for me, you can't discount the fact that this Ipswich side has such a resilience. I had a look last season when you finished second to Plymouth. You only lost 4 games. It was the least in the division and you finished second. So I was like, this team is not used to losing. So what that does in terms of mentality, going out on the football pitch, it's like, doesn't matter if we go 1 behind, 2 behind. We don't lose games. We're going to be totally fine. And that's why, for me, I am concerned, or don't quite go along with the narrative that Ipswich are guaranteed to drop off. I know you as a fan will be a little bit more cautious, but I still think, I just think it feels like you're on a crest of a wave that's just not going to stop.
But Joe, it's drilling into that term drop off, because dropping off from 35 points from 14 games is inevitable. You just can't, Leicester might get close to that. And the ridiculous thing is you have to look at it all in context, because Ipswich could drop off and score 75 to 80 points. And if I'm sorry, they're liars if they say otherwise. You ask any Ipswich fan, you promise them 75 to 80 points before the season, and you're like, wow, we're going to get in the playoffs. So, there's, look, obviously, if you're a Leeds fan or a Southampton fan, you're looking for it and hoping for it. And to use a more nerdy term, a regression to the mean as opposed to dropping off. It's probably not going to happen with Leicester. I agree with you. I still think there'll be, the ridiculous thing is Leicester could be at 50 points by the halfway mark, and you've got to score 11 points in the next 8 games. That's not that hard for that Leicester squad, is it? For God's sake. But
I keep saying, like, it's just Leeds United's luck that the season we're in the division and doing as well as we are, because we are still doing well. We've got a record-breaking Leicester side and a record-breaking newly promoted side. I was like, it's just our luck. But
Joe, like I mentioned in that video I did, when you're in a chase, in some kind of race, and a couple of people just go out absolutely sprinting, just hold your pace, and no one's going to be surprised if Leeds are between 88, 92 points. And you just have to hold your hands up. Like you say, if you scored 90 points and don't get automatic promotion, you just hold your hands up and say,
well, it's like League One last season, isn't it? With
exactly.
Sheff Wednesday and Plymouth. Like, at the end of the day, it's insane to think that many points were scored, and Sheff Wednesday had to do the
96 they missed out with, Joe.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? I think did they score over 100 goals or something like that? I don't know.
Ipswich scored over 100 and didn't win the title.
Yeah, exactly.
That was how good Plymouth were. Yeah.
So it is. It really is. It really is mad. But what do you make to West Brom, mate? Because again, and I do agree with that sentiment you've just said about sometimes it's better to be the hunter than the hunted. And I've said that a few times, but yeah, West Brom are another team that under Carlos Corberán, he just knows how to navigate this division. It seems he's not had a lot of money. He did great at Huddersfield. He's doing well at West Brom as well. We've not an amazing side, I don't think. From when we played him anyway, I wasn't overly impressed, but he's going about business. And do you fancy them to give a push at all, or is it just a fleeting moment and they're going to drop back out?
Not to the same extent as the other sides we talked about. I agree with you. He's doing a cracking job. I had them selling their players, having financial troubles, and being in the bottom half. But I don't know. Just when you see all those 3 year one parachute teams playing well, you're kind of like, they're all going to be in the. You'd expect them all to be in the top 3, but you wouldn't think West Brom would be able to get near. And I mean, I think they've won 3 on the bounce, haven't they? And beaten out of form Coventry side. I think they beat QPR in one of the other games. Great win against Hull though yesterday. But no, I know they're close in. But
I've got Southampton up next as well.
There
so I
you
suppose
go.
that is
just got to look at the quality of. You got to look at the quality of Leicester, Leeds, and Southampton. And you've got to look at the sheer number of points Ipswich have managed to put on the board and say that's going to be hard to supplant. But I know you guys love Carlos from the Bielsa link, and he's a very good Championship manager who seems to be way better when he's got no money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because there was a period of time that I wanted him to come back in, or to come and manage us in the Championship before Daniel Farke was really mentioned, to be honest. And I would have accepted it at the time, but it'd have been interesting to see how he got on with actual money at his disposal. But I don't think Leeds really actually looked at it. It was mooted, but I don't think he was ever spoken to. That's what West Brom said anyway. Ben, Louis asked this question. What do you think of your fixtures on the run up to Christmas? Because I do believe you have quite a tough run. Obviously, you play Tuesday night as well. I'm going to be doing a watch along of that game. I'm sorry, Ben, but I'm all Millers. I'm like, come on, the Millers at the New York Stadium. But yeah, what about this fixture?
You are, Joe.
Look,
you can wind back and look at I was on the Blue Monday podcast doing this, where you look at the fixtures, and we were looking at this period and going, oh my God, this looks horrendous, because in December it's Coventry and Middlesbrough. Now, obviously Coventry are really struggling, but Coventry were a playoff finalist and Middlesbrough were a playoff semi-finalist. Watford away is a year 2 parachute team. Then, and I know this won't mean much to you guys, but Norwich at home for Ipswich, the entire month is massive. Yeah, the emotional focus on that game, the questions, the interest, that's a big deal. Then we got blooming Leeds away going into Christmas and Leicester at home. So yeah, it's a
back to
really
back, is that? Oh yeah, it's back to
gnarly,
back, isn't it?
absolutely gnarly. And you start to
Wow.
look at it, and I know that that's where you're happy to have your cushion. If you are in a
Yeah,
promotion race and
100%.
you're like, okay, if you're going to take 1 point maybe from the 2 games against Leeds and Leicester, right now you'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
let's try and see the lay of the land and see who we might not want to lose to there, as opposed to going out. But like you said, this team is, they go to win games, and they've been relentless now since pretty much Valentine's Day. But you're totally right. It's a gnarly old run of fixtures, and you would expect to be heading more towards 1 point per game than 2 points per game at that point. And but we did this last season, Joe. All the Middlesbrough fans were looking at the Sheffield United run. I mean, you're in the Premier League. They're all planning when the overtake comes. Sometimes it's really hard to supplant a lead. You don't have much margin for error. But again, this is a team that was in League One last season going against a team that was in the Premier League last season. Yeah. So there is that factor to it as well, Joe.
100%. And I think, December's huge, isn't it? And I think now until January, really, I had a look at December and I'm like, wow, we play 7 times in December. It's a hell of a lot of games in 1 month. And then that spills over into January because you'll have your New Year Day fixtures and all that sort of stuff. So it's such a big period now, especially now that the international breaks are over. It's like wall-to-wall football.
And Joe, this is where Farker really excelled at Norwich. I remember him just picking the same team over and over again, winning. And that's where his pattern of play really kicks in. At the moment, you'd look at Kieran McKenna and say he's tweaking and everything he's doing is coming off. But you wait. I've followed Farker for a long time. When you go in those big runs, he's really, and I know it didn't quite work against Stoke as well, did it for you guys when you tweaked a little bit? That's when you'll see he'll really try and employ that muscle memory pattern of play that we saw when he was at Norwich. Although maybe he's got better resources at Leeds now, particularly at the front end.
Yeah. One thing I am looking forward to is the emergence of Jed Spence. I think he comes back after the international break, and if we can get him anywhere close to the way he played at Forest, then
he's excellent. Yeah.
I mean, I know we tried to get Max Aarons, but I think maybe on the face of it, if we can get Spence anywhere close to the Norwich, we still might have ended up all right with having Jed Spence down that right hand side for sure. So I think I'm excited about the prospect of that. Do you know, January, obviously Leeds United, we've had Parag Marate, who's the like the owner, if you like, the chairman on the side of the 49ers. He was actually at the game Friday. I'm just putting 2 and 2 together, thinking maybe they're getting plans ready for January. It's less than 8 weeks away now. I expect Leeds to do business. I think we'll go and get a 10. I don't know if you've seen, do you remember the Amiri saga? He's actually he's come out now and sacked off his brother as his agent. Is annoyed the move never went through because he's played like 4 minutes at Leverkusen. So
is that the one they flew over but then wouldn't fly back? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I do remember.
So that serves him right. So apparently he's told his brother to get in the bin, and we'll see if we go after that one. But I do expect us to get a left back. I do expect us to get a 10, a proper number 10, if you like. So do you expect? Because I think Leicester will do bits because they've got money. Same with Southampton. What's the opinion at Ipswich? Because I know you've been pretty decent with the business that you have done. Do you expect them to get some more players in the door when needed?
This is just where Leicester, Southampton and Leeds can just kick everyone completely out of touch, isn't it? And, because a big signing for Ipswich in January would be if Ipswich signed someone for £3 to £4 million, that'd be the first time they've done it in 2 decades. And the club record's 5 million. And how many times did Leicester, Leeds and Southampton break that even in January? But look, there's sometimes you just have to accept the world as it is. And you've been on I know it's a bit different with Leeds because Leeds, even when they were on the wrong side of it, were still top for commercial revenues and gate receipts, and were still able to bank a hell of a lot of money. If you're not Leeds and you don't have that gigantic ability to just, it's just a cash machine, isn't it? Sometimes Leeds with the commercials. You just have to try and, make do amend. What's going to be interesting is surely the three of you guys, Leicester, Leeds and Southampton, that's going to be spicy, because I think you're all going to drive each other to be spending money, don't you?
Yes. I think it wouldn't surprise me if we go for similar players. I look at Ilias Chair. Ilias Chair was one that they were all mooted with having a link, and then nothing really progressed there. Be interested to see what Fuentes can get out of him, because I think it's a totally different brand of football from what they've seen under Ainsworth. So maybe he might stay there. But I also like Sarah. The guy at Norwich.
Feel free to get him out of Norwich, by the way.
Yeah. He was. I would love him. I don't know what the situation is at Norwich, and obviously Wagner might get sacked soon.
Just posted a loss of £27 million for last season.
Wow. Okay. So it could be one that he could get out of there, couldn't it? So,
possibly,
but I do envisage them going for the similar sort of players as well, because we tended to do.
You've got to, because the financial egg timer, you know what it's like. You've got that advantage, but that advantage then drops and then drops in the third year. And you see, I remember Bournemouth a couple of years ago, and they didn't end up even playing hardly any of these players. They just went crazy in January and, just scooped up everybody to give Scott Parker just whatever he needed to get them over the line. This is going to be a bit different, though, because, to state the bleeding obvious, someone's not going up automatically. And playoffs are the playoffs. Get a red card in 5 minutes of the first leg of playoffs. Doesn't matter how much money you
spend. The playoffs.
Oh, mate, we were even worse than you in them. Don't worry about that.
PTSD. I tell you what, just to go slightly off piste a little bit, Ben. Have you been surprised at how poorly the newly promoted? Because let's say, for example, the three that come down this season, Leicester, Leeds, and Southampton. I have every faith that if they were to get promoted or were to play in the Premier League, even now, they would give a good account of themselves. I genuinely believe that. Maybe that's misguided, but I do. However, the newly promoted sides this season just gone, Burnley, Sheffield United, and Luton. It's just not looked great at all, is it? Has that surprised you at all? I know sort of Heckingbottom's had the rug pulled out from him a little bit, losing his two best players. I did think there was a bit of because it was company, he got so much praise, and I was like, he was linked with a Tottenham job. I'm like, oh, hang on, let's calm down a little bit. And he's shown maybe he's a little bit naive with his tactics in the Prem. But the same could be said for Varka, so I don't want to say too much. But are you surprised at how poorly they've done when they've been promoted?
It's really easy to be wise after the event and say no, isn't it? But I think what you've got to consider, Joe, is there's a bit of a perfect storm. If you wind back, it's unprecedented so Fulham, who was it? Fulham, Forest and Bournemouth all went up and all stayed up, which then does strange things to the bottom three. And in the Championship, you had this situation where Norwich and Watford last season, we talk about, the advantage of that the year one parachute teams have. They both messed it up. So, and we've had it a couple of times where we've had, Huddersfield in the playoff final, Luton and Coventry in the playoff final. I mean, there's every chance that by the end of this, in some way, shape or form, Leeds, Southampton and Leicester are the three that go up. One of them would obviously have to win the playoffs. So I think there's a lot kind of that went into the way the Premier League looked in terms of the strength there and how the Championship laid out. But yeah, it's very easy to then correlate all of that and say, well, okay, they're struggling for that reason. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, of course. Do you think any of them can stay up?
Doesn't look like it, does it? Which should be a great shame. There's the potential, obviously, for Everton to get a points deduction, which could really. But
even now, I was
I know.
since then they've got 4 points. So even if they got a points deduction, it's like they'd only need to win one more game, and then they're back in the green again. So
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, look, with Luton, there's always that case of just have a go, come down in a way different position than you were previously in. And Sheffield United, they've just got that ownership, kind of issue where, you go up and sell your two sort of
crazy, wasn't it? Especially to Burnley. To sell Sanderberg to Burnley just blew my mind. I just didn't understand it.
Mental. Yeah, so but Burnley is a weird one though, because they've spent money and they were really good last season. Yeah. I know you're right to say about Company looking at it now as opposed to them, but they were excellent, Joe. They were miles better than everyone else.
Darren's a little bit behind, but I was going to ask you this, and he's just reminded me. Do you worry at all about McKenna? Maybe because when Ten Hag's been doing so bad, I've been pushing this narrative. Like everyone keeps going, just get Carrick on and into him. I'm like, no, get Kieran McKenna on and into him. Get Kieran McKenna, not Carrick. Kieran McKenna. Do you worry at all though, or do you think you're on that much of a crest of a wave that he goes, do you know what? I'm not leaving now. There's no point in me leaving now. We're almost there.
I don't want to be one of those sad sap, emotionally redundant football fans that thinks that their best player or their manager would never think about going to, you guys have seen, you love Rafinha, I guess, and Calvin Phillips. And, they go. And you can't, on the one hand, sit there and say, our manager's really good, and then not assume that A, people would be interested in taking him, and B, he would be interested in going. What has happened though, Joe, with the start being as good as it has, it's changed the landscape a bit. Look, if we were 10th, everyone would still say he's done a really good job. Look, come up from League One and they're 10th. And then if, I don't know, say Southampton were doing really badly, it would be like, oh, could he go to one of the top championship teams? Whereas now it's like, oh, right, he's right up in the top two. What job would it take? But then you take like Crystal Palace or someone when they've been in the Premier League for years and years and years. There's only 20 Premier League managers' gigs going, and you're not going to get 6 of them, don't you? So, look, he'll get linked, and we'll wait for the jobs to come up. And I want to be self-aware enough to admit
I'll be pushing it. Yeah, McKenna in.
You're allowed to do that, Joe. But you do worry though if he goes out, because you look at our players, and they were playing in League One last year, and look at how he's got them playing. So he's done a great job here.
100%. I mean, you know that, and I myself know as well. Like when. I do laugh at Man United fans, and we need this manager, we need that manager. They just need someone who can coach players to play better. And we know, you've seen that with McKenna. For me, even now, I still say the likes of Ayling, Cooper, etc., would have never been Premier League footballers if it weren't for Marcelo Bielsa. I don't think. I don't think they make that leap, and that might be harsh to say, but I just don't see a run-of-the-mill manager being able to get that team into the Premier League and stay there.
Well, Joe, a good pattern of play and a well-coached team is worth, tell me, tens of millions in signing players, isn't it?
100%, yeah, for sure. Just to switch down to the bottom of me, I just want to ask you a few questions about a team. I have a show that runs on a Thursday, you see, White Rose Rivals, that's myself and a few Yorkshire based. I just wanted to get your thoughts on Chef Wednesday. Obviously, we all know how wild their owner is, and demanding all fans pay £100 and we'll have 2 million or whatever it was. He's worse than Chelino, I think, and that's saying something. He's really that bad. But Chef Wednesday, Danny Roll's gone on. Then he gets a result against Rotherham. Darren Moore not going well at Huddersfield. Obviously, I guess could we see a situation where I look at the table, depending on how Fuentes does, where you could have the 3 Yorkshire teams being relegated?
I'll walk you back one step. I'm not ready to go there.
Yeah, no problem.
But will you tell me, Joe? Coventry have recruited well, and I think they're at a trough, and I think they'll come out of it.
Yeah.
Plymouth are good. Plymouth have got a really good manager. They're really well coached. I'm not sure that bottom four, Huddersfield, Rotherham, QPR, Sheffield Wednesday, will. I think that might well be the bottom four, and it's 3 from 4 there. And so what that might do is drag the. We'll look at 45 points gives you an 80% chance of survival over the last 10 years. You might get out of Dodge with quite a low points total if that all gets dragged down. I suppose depends a little bit on January, but I mean, they've already rolled the dice. Wednesday have already changed the manager. QPR have already changed the manager. Huddersfield have already changed the manager.
Yeah, true.
So any of them could get out of it, but
could Huddersfield change their manager again, Ben?
Quite possibly.
Because the fans, they just have not taken to Darren Moore at all.
Darren Moore's just a bit of an enigma, isn't he? Because there was this weird thing last season with Wednesday where it was like they've got 90 points, they're going to win the league. Obviously, they didn't. Is he any good? I don't. They're quite sort of stoic, and even in the playoffs, that was play that
what a
another
comeback, by the way. What a comeback! It was insane.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't tell you about Darren Moore. I don't know. This job will sort it out, but I can't sit here and say that they're not all going to go, and we'll see what this Cifuentes at QPR is like.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think we'll bring it to a close, mate. We've done sort of like a one-stop shop everywhere. If you're a betting man, who's? I know it's so early, Ben, and I know you don't like to make these sweeping statements.
It's all fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Who's the top two?
2 year one parachute teams for sure. Leicester would do well not to win the league from 39 points from 15
It deserves sacking at this point. If it doesn't go up in the top two, Maresca deserves sacking from this stage, I think.
Look, you would expect it to be Leeds or Southampton in second. And by the way, you Leeds fans know your football. If Ipswich finish second this season, that is standing ovation worthy.
Yeah,
that would be a feat, wouldn't it? An absolute feat. But
for sure.
Yeah, you would. I know I'm on a Leeds channel, but I'd say it on my channel. You'd probably make, if it's not going to be Ipswich, you'd make Leeds favourite. And you can easily make the argument that it's not going to be Ipswich because the other three have got way more money and way more quality in terms of the squad and are playing well as well. So I think that might well be the top four, though, mightn't it? The three relegated teams in Ipswich, given the points differential. And I mean,
think the ace in the pack's Farker. I think the fact that he's won this league twice.
That showed on Friday night, didn't it?
Yeah. He knows what's needed in terms of navigating difficult points and stuff. I think that's my one.
Oh, quickly, sorry. Is that comment right? The Leeds play Southampton on the last game of the season?
Oh, I genuinely did not know that. Let me have a look.
That's tremendous.
Let's have a look. Fixtures. Yes, we do. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Wow. Imagine that game. It's at Ellen Road, though. Leeds have been great at Ellen Road, so hopefully that'll...
But that could be the way it is now, that would be a shootout if you stay 1 point, if you both track each other. But
we've got quite a difficult... I'm just having a look. We've got Coventry away, Sunderland at home, Blackburn at home, Middlesbrough away, QPR away.
And Leeds being Leeds are going to inexplicably lose one of those games with
100%.
35 shots and score an own goal and lose 1-0.
Mate. Like QPR will need a win and we'll bloody give them it. And then it'll be like, we now must win against Southampton at home. Otherwise, we're in the playoffs. That's where it'll go. Danny's super chat earlier on. Thank you, Danny. He says, hi, Joe. Half my family are Ipswich fans. It's been a nightmare this season. Hopefully you'll have the last laugh, mate. And Barney says, miss you Friday, Joe. Prem quality game. Amazing one. Win. Yeah, it was a good quality game for sure. A real tactical battle and technicians out there on the pitch. But Ben, there's 500 people watching now. The majority of them will be subscribed. But do you want to just tell them a little bit about you? Unfortunately, the title was too big to get you in there. It took me over the 100 characters. But your link is in the description. And I implore everyone to go and check out Ben's channel. But do you want to just let the folks know where to catch you?
Oh, I'd love to, Joe. Thank you so much. Yeah, but first of all, thanks to you because I'm, great supporter of my work and. yeah, it is nice to have your bunch back, even if it is for one season. But no, so it's the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel, and we try and call it down the middle. I know I'm an Ipswich supporter, and we're doing well, but we got the Blue Monday podcast to be very biased about Ipswich. So yeah, we just try and call it absolutely down the middle. We do a prediction show, a review show. I'm at games. I've been to a couple of Leeds games as well already. I'll try and get to a few more. Thank you for the lovely comments, by the way, that are coming in. But yeah, just hit the subscribe button. And look, I always say it to Joe, and I say it with love. There's places where you're going to be pro, and there's an agenda towards a team to support them, and that's great. So I try and do the opposite, and we just try and call it down the middle. So I appreciate all the people who are saying that they're subscribed. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely. Not one of. He's not in the top. What's it, Brian?
The Brian Clough.
I love it. I always do it I'm not in the best, but I'm in the top one. That's
I'm not the best manager in the world or something, but I'm certainly in the top one. Yeah.
I'll get shot down by Leeds fans for saying that, but I actually liked him. I'm sorry.
By the way, on my channel, there's a little story about me meeting Cloughie back in the day that I was very, very privileged to. So yeah, check that out.
Great stuff. Look at Andy. He says, you just subscribe. You had Middlesbrough second.
I did. Can I just say the pre-season predictions are made in July? Yeah. And,
yes, exactly.
Middlesbrough still had Chuba Akpom, and we thought they might get back some of their players. But
I love that Andy's just subscribed, and the first thing he did was go, right, where's he got Leeds going? Straight away.
Where did I put Leeds? I think I put them first, didn't I? Or did I put them third? Maybe I put Leicester first and Leeds third.
You will. Yeah.
Hey, I had Ipswich 12th, so I'm sure you'll all take that, won't you?
Yeah, definitely. We will. Listen, thanks as always for Bennett. Thanks for giving up your Sunday, mate, especially when you're so tired after working so late. Folks, make sure you go check his channel out.
In Manchester, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Great.
That's fitting right off his stride, hasn't it, eh?
Yeah, I think on that note, we'll leave it there. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow.